Hi, and welcome to session 5 of the Build Your Custom Website course. My name's Dan, and I'm a software engineer and systems analyst with WP Up2. So in this session, we're going to be looking at the compliance pages or your legal pages. Now, I'll premise this by saying I am not a lawyer. Nothing in this video should be considered legal advice. You will need to check with a local solicitor or a local lawyer to make sure that you comply with your local regulations. So, legal pages, we'll be sourcing and setting up a website terms of service. We'll be looking at a website privacy policy, basic GDPR compliance, and adding the legal pages that we create to the navigation. Again, not a lawyer, nothing in here is legal advice. So for the requirements for this session, we will need your legal business name or your trading name. And if you're trading under your own name as a consultant, then just your full name is fine. We'll need your trading address, and a PO box is fine for this one. We'll also need to know your preferred place to go to court. So if I was living in Australia, that would have been Victoria. Now that I'm living in the UK, that would be London. And a bit of patience. Like I said, this one's a bit of a grind. I'm also going to add that you might need a coffee or two. So your website terms of service is the most important one here, in my opinion. This restricts how your website can be used and defines where you can be taken to court. Now, so we don't have to build this from scratch, which would be an utter nightmare, we're going to be using a compliance terms builder. So let's navigate to bit.ly/compliance builder. And once you're there, you should see something that resembles this or potentially a sign up form. So let me just bring up a browser and we'll get started. Right, so that link has taken us straight to the sign up page. Now, you can sign up using your full name and email address. That's okay. I'm just going to use the sign up with Google. You can also do the Facebook. So sign up with that one. And I am just going to check that because I've already read these terms and conditions and the privacy policy. So I'd encourage you to read that before you check anything. I'm going to opt out of marketing though. Create an account. That just pops a little window. Ask me which of the many, many Gmail accounts I have. And that's all set up. Great. So this takes you to your first privacy policy, or the first website terms of service. We're going to just dismiss that and then click Add New Website Mobile App and enter in the name of the website here. So for us, that is Error 418 and the site URL. And it's important that you check the HTTPS because we are running a secure site, and then the URL in there. Brilliant. Now, remember, no trailing slashes. Don't put the W's in if you've used the our host because they don't drop them in there for you, but it's important to have the HTTPS selected. Click on Save. Excellent. And now we'll ask you for your trading information. So, name of my company goes in here. Email address is the hello email we created at the very, very start in the first session. We will actually address how to check that a little bit later on in the course. All right, next one is your phone number. So I recommend your mobile number, or if you have a corporate number, throw that in here too. And then your street address. So I've just got that in a little notepad document across the off screen. So I'll just pop that in to make it a bit easier. Just Now, it's important this is your trading address. It can be a PO box. It can also be your accountant's address if your accountant approves of that. But it does need to be an address where you can be mailed if you need to be, or if someone needs to contact you. Check this one down the bottom and then hit save. Right, and that's our business onboarded. The next thing we need to do is start on the compliance checklist. So if we go to policies on the left-hand side, and then we're going to start with the website privacy policy. Now, it's going to ask us for some URLs that don't exist yet, but we know what they're going to be, so that's okay. So we'll start with the website privacy policy, add new, and then click privacy policy again. So I'd like to reiterate that I'm not a lawyer and this isn't legal advice, and you will need to check your local regulations to make sure you're compliant. Also, don't necessarily blindly click everything that I'm clicking. You need to read through each of the options yourself and make sure that they apply to you. I'm going to base this on my coffee site, but it doesn't necessarily apply to what you're doing. All right, so let's start with this one. So yes, I'm operating under a business name, and that is Error 418. It's got my email address pre-populated there. It's got my phone number pre-populated, and who still uses faxes? All right, save and next. And the next thing is your address. So I'm just going to separate that out as we get an extra field here. Next again. And this is going to be used for our website. It's got the website address there and then an email address. So again, that is our hello at the domain. Save and next. Okay, to collect, or do you collect or plan to collect personal information from your users? For a standard static site, this is most of the time it's no. Just click on that one and then save and next. Are you collecting personal information from other sources? At this stage, no. And they create or register a website app. Sorry, create an account, so that's a no as well. And is your website or app offered to people under the age of 18? So for mine, it's no. But if you are building a site that primarily targets youth or children, then you'll need to click yes, and then you'll need to have a read and make sure that you comply with this. So that's a no for me. Okay, so the next one is derivative data. So for me, in this course, we're looking at no, that's fairly straightforward. But if you're going to be adding tracking, if you're looking at Google Analytics, or you'll be joining us for the masterclass, you'll need to click yes, and then check each one of these to make sure you're compliant, especially with the Google Analytics. But for this exercise, it's a no. Save and next. Social media and third parties. Again, we're not doing any integrations with social media for this course, so that'll be a no. Save and next. And use of information. So we're not going to be dealing with any of this, so we can actually just skip that one. Online payments. If you're looking at e-commerce, you'll need to check yes here, and then put in the privacy policy and information for the vendor. So that might be Stripe, for example, or it might be eWay or PayPal. And you can add multiples in here. So if you're taking PayPal, for example, or accepting PayPal, you could go to here, then go paypal.com, and then scroll down to the bottom, and there's almost always a privacy policy here somewhere. There we go. Privacy, and then copy that. So Control-C on mine and paste that in, and that's how you would add the PayPal privacy policy. But we're not accepting payments for this exercise, so I'm just going to make that a no. Hit save and next. Online posting. So can users upload or post content on our website? And for the moment, that's a no. Do you allow users to interact with each other? Again, that's a no, but that might be a yes if you're going to accept comments on blogs. If that's the case, then you can check yes here and then check yes or no, depending on whether or not you're planning on collecting email from people who post comments on your site. So that's a no at the moment. Save and next. Third-party advertisers. So we're not looking at any third-party services at the moment, so that's a no. However, if you are looking at putting AdSense on your site so you can earn some revenue on it, if you're planning on developing this into an affiliate site later, then check on yes there. So no for us. Save and next. Do you disclose any user data to business affiliates? So if you're looking at a drop shipping service, then that will be a yes. If you're looking to collect email addresses for third parties, that's also a yes, but for us, we're just providing resources, that's going to be a no. And then hit next. Will you disclose any collected information to business partners? So again, if you're doing drop shipping or something similar, then that's going to be a yes, but for us, that'll be a no. How long will you keep information you've collected? So for us, we're not even going to collect info, so we'll just skip that. But for most, that's going to be 90 days. So skip that for us. Do you have appropriate security measures in place? Well, that's a yes for us. Tracking technologies. So for our site, we don't use tracking cookies at the moment, so we can select neither. But if you're looking at putting in Google Analytics or you're going to be doing some e-commerce stuff, then you will need to check the cookies and web beacons, and there might be an extra couple of screens for that. But neither at this one neither for our purposes. Save and next. Data protection officer. So yes, you are the data protection officer. So hit yes for that one. Enter the DPO's name. So that's your full name. And then your email address. So that'll be the hello email address that we had before. And I'm not going to worry about a phone number for this one. And we're going to select yes, they have the same physical address as the company. So hit next. And that is today's date. And hit publish. Okay, so that's the privacy policy dealt with for this part anyway. We'll just close out the privacy statement from PayPal there. All right. And that is the core privacy policy setup. Next thing we're going to do is move on to the terms and conditions. All right, so click on terms and conditions on the left and then new terms and conditions and then hit terms and conditions again. All right, so just make sure that this is all the same. So that is a yes for us here as well, and trading name is error 418. Save and next. Same as before. So for me, I have a second line here, so let's pop that in. That's all good. So save and next. We have not been trademarked. However, if you have a trademarks company, you can put in the trademark information there and the country of origin. Otherwise, just hit no and then save and next. Name of the website is already pre-filled, so that's handy. Hit next again. And for us, most of our audience is in the UK, and we are business to business. If you're a business to consumer, so if you're, for example, selling t-shirts or you have a consultancy or a garden service, plumbing service, select on business to consumers. If you're doing house renovations, for example, where you might have consumers as clients, you may also have other contractors, then select both. For us, this is going to be used for a website blog. If you're selling stuff or planning on taking the masterclass, then yep, you can select the e-commerce or the online marketplace, but most likely for most people, it's going to be the website and blog. Hit next. Okay, so we don't sell any of this stuff. So what we're going to do for this is just put in some dot points of the information we're putting on the site. So we have coffee and barista information, articles, and partner. So you put in the other services that you might offer that aren't necessarily the sale of physical or digital goods. If you're running services, you can put that in there, and then you would say put in a little star to make an asterisk there, or a faux dot point, and you might put in garden maintenance, lawn mowing, and landscaping, and pool cleaning, as an example. So for us, check that one. And because we're not selling, we don't need to worry about that. We just need to worry about the describe the services for the purpose of the website. Save and next. And then user age. Now for our site, we're targeting professional baristas. So that's going to be a no for targeting people under the age of 18. However, if your site focuses on kids products, kids clothing, therapy for youngsters, or focuses on a product that is likely to be used by people under the age of 18, you'll need to click yes there, have a read of that, and then make sure that you comply or wish to continue with the terms there. So for us, it's a no. Save and next. User accounts. Now on our site, again, that's a no. However, if you're heading down the e-commerce road, then yes, users will be absolutely creating accounts on your site because you'll need to be able to send things out to them. If you click yes, you may get an extra couple of screens which you'll need to review on your own. But for us, that's a no. Save and next. We don't have a mobile application because our website is responsive and we don't need a separate mobile site for it. Save and next again. Okay, and prohibited activities. Now, what I'd encourage you to do is read through every single one of these to make sure you're happy with prohibiting these activities on the site. I've already read them a number of times, so I'm just going to go through and check all of them because I already know that that is in fact what I want. Down there, they've deliberately left off a select all button to make sure you check and understand every single item. Nearly there. Scroll down and then save and next. Oh, actually, I should note as well, if you are doing something like selling t-shirt designs, selling mugs, that kind of gear, you can add some extra ones in here. So you could put copy, spelled correctly, our motifs or designs. Attempt to advertise a competing service, and you can add some extras there as well if you prefer. Now, for us, we're not fussed about that, so I won't worry about those. We'll just remove them. But again, if you're doing proprietary stuff, or especially if you're doing drop shipping or designing gear, adding some extra things to cover your artwork is a really good idea. All right, save and next. Can users upload or post content? We're going to allow comments. So, yes. Will your users agree to that their content can be used in perpetuity without payment? So that's a yes for us. And grant any other license to their content. So that is a no. So if you are allowing comments, reviews, or any kind of interaction, especially if you're thinking of dropping maybe a forum or a message board on there a bit later, it's important that you throw a yes on this one and then just have a quick read of these and make sure they apply. If you are keeping this as a static site, it's just strictly advertising your business or your service, you can set that as a no. All right, so save and next. And users make contact with other users by submitting reviews on products. So that will be a yes for us. Even though it's not reviews, they will be able to comment and interact with each other later on down the track. So yes, save and next. And how can users contact us by email? Does your website contain third-party advertising or third-party content? So for us, that's a no. But if you're heading down the road again of Google AdSense, or you're planning on using other people's products on there, you'll need to set that as a yes, and you may get an extra screen or two that asks you a few extra questions. So no for us, hit next. Export control regulations, so that's a no for us, and most people I would suggest will be no, but if you are looking at selling or exporting controlled substances or things to areas that might have sanctions on them, then you'll need to click yes there. If this is even remotely possible to be a yes, you also need to make sure that you consult with a solicitor or a lawyer to make sure that you stay within regulations. So for us, that's a no. Hit save and next. Terms and conditions, T's and C's of supply. Now, because our site is not selling anything, we don't have to worry about either of these. If you have a site that is going to be a membership site later on, or you're looking at e-commerce, then you'll need to at least put in a returns policy, in which case you hit yes, and then throw in what will be a link to your returns policy eventually. So that would normally be something like returns policy. Full email address, website address. As an example, if you also have a paywall, is going to be a membership site later on, then you will need to take a look at these as well and potentially pop in an extra address there. Of course, you will need to create these pages separately, but this is just an example. So for our site, it's going to be a hard no. Hit next. Limitation of liability. Now, this is really important. You want this to be quite low. I'm in the UK. I think last time I checked, some of the bigger companies have that set to $5. And what that means is if you receive, never had a problem, but if you receive a judgment against you, it means the user of your site has agreed to maximum compensation of £5 regardless of the damage. Again, not a lawyer, haven't tested this one, but this seems to be a standard on most sites that I've visited. So hit save and next. Do we have an AUP? So that will be a yes. Actually, that will be a no for us because we don't have an AUP. That's what the website terms and conditions are going to be for us. All right, hit next. Does your website have a privacy notice? So yes, we just created one of those before, and that's going to be the full address to your privacy form. So that will be HTTPS, and in our case, the error 418/privacy. Again, these pages don't exist, but we know they will in the not too distant future. In fact, before the end of this lesson. Hit save and next. Do we have a cookie policy? And yes, we will. And that will also be here. So let's paste that in, and that's going to be cookies. Hit save and next. And then today's date is the effective date, and hit save. Now it will squawk at us about having an extra account. Here we go. So this relates to privacy policies and terms and conditions on your website. The free account technically only allows us to embed one at a time. What we're actually going to do, though, is we're going to copy and paste in, so we don't need to worry about it at the moment. However, if you are looking at the masterclass later, if you're looking at going down the road of e-commerce, AdSense, putting on traffic analytics and analytics tools, or perhaps a community later on down the track, what I'd encourage you to do is upgrade to the Pro version. It's I think it was $10 a month US for at the time of recording, and that will allow us to embed all of these on the site rather than just copy paste, and that will make it easier for us to update everything and keep everything current. Okay, next up is the cookie policy. So we'll go over to the cookies on the left-hand side here, and then we want to click on the cookie policy, and that's going to ask us to scan our site. We'll just click scan now. Now this might take a few moments. Excellent, and that is our cookie report just automatically generated. So now click generate cookie policy on the right. And there we go. That one was easy. All right, so that is the bare minimum we need to do. So what I'd also encourage you to do is take a look at the other policies and the settings that we have available to us here in your own time. And if you think you will need extra ones, so if you're doing e-commerce, you'll need a returns policy, disclaimer if you're allowing for comments or for offering opinions, then fill those out as well. It's very much a case of follow the bouncing ball. And again, get some legal advice once you've got all of these out to make sure that you will comply with them and that they apply to you. And we can copy and paste these into your site. If you're thinking of heading down the road of e-commerce, or you'll be looking at the masterclass a bit later, I'd encourage you to, again, to take a look at the Pro version. It's really, really neat and makes life a lot easier. All right, so let's bring up our website. So that's just in a new tab there. It's error 418 for us. It's good to go, and enter. Right, so that's good. Click on that up the top to the URL again, /wp-login.php, and then enter the information, enter your username and password from the first lesson. Now, just zoom in here to make it a bit easier to see what's going on. Excellent. Okay, so now we're in. So we want to go to pages. Okay, so once you're looking at the list of pages, mouse over the About page that we created in the last lesson and hit duplicate this. All right, then mouse over the new draft one and then hit quick edit. Change that to website privacy policy. And we're going to change that to privacy. Hit update. Right, and that's good to go. So now we want to head into that one. So by mouse over and then hit edit with Elementor. Wait for that to load. Okay, and we're going to delete anything we don't need from this page. So we want to keep that title. And in fact, we'll quickly change that to website privacy policy. Delete your tagline. So click in that, right click, and then delete. And then we can delete any sections that we don't need anymore. So that can go, that can go, that can go, and we're pretty much left with the title and another block, and that's it. So the next thing we want to do is add a new section. So click the purple button, and then we're going for a full width column. Within that column, I like to make sure that I've got a nested column. So that's over to the top right of the Elementor page there. Click on that one, and then we want to drop an inner section into that new section we just created, which gives us two columns, which we don't want. So on the second column, mouse over that one, right click on the little grey icon there and hit delete. Excellent. So that leaves us with a full width second column. Next, we're going to go back to the Elementor thing and then hit the grid over to text editor, and we're going to dump that into there. and that's created a very, very basic text block for us. All right, back over to Termly. From the cookie policy, we want to go to policies and then privacy policy. Now, because Termly only allows you to have one active policy at a time on a free account, we have to go to the first one we created, copy all of this information over, delete it or unpublish it, then go to the next one and wait for that to publish, and then we can start editing again. So go to the privacy policy. We want to collect that from last updated because we've already got the privacy info at the top. Scroll all the way down and then copy that. And we want to leave their branding in because they've just saved us hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars by doing this. So copy that. So just be back over to Elementor. On the left-hand side, delete the content in there. Now, with our previous lesson, I talked about having the paste as text selected, mainly because we didn't want the formatting coming over from Word or Google Documents or another website. In this case, we do want the formatting. So leave that unchecked. Click in there, right-click, and paste. Excellent. And that is the basics in. So let's just tidy up that a little bit. Scroll up to the top. And let's add an extra space in there. So you can preview this on the left. Okay, and then down to, where is it, table of contents. And we're going to make that one a heading 3. And that gets a little bit of spacing in there. And I'll take care of the colors a bit later. So where we see these titles, and your theme will look a little bit different. This one's a bit compressed for my liking. So you can see there. Scroll all the way down, add a bit more of a gap under here. So just going to add another line there, add another line there. And that is the very, very basics of the privacy policy taken care of. All right, so we'll publish that one. So that is done. Just click off there. Click on the little hamburger on the left, exit to dashboard. WordPress button up the top left. And there we have our privacy policy in place. So we can quickly view the page, right click, and then open in new tab. And there we go. That's it. Okay, so back over to Termly and then delete that privacy policy. Now, again, if you're looking at e-commerce, if you're looking at setting up a forum or a community later, don't delete this one. Instead, upgrade. That will let you have multiple policies active at the same time. So, but for the free account, we'll just delete this one. Delete that. You can see it would get very tedious because we'd have to go through that process every time we updated the privacy policy. All right, and then down to the terms and conditions. So into that one and then hit edit. All the way to final details on the left-hand side. Save, save, save. We're just going over the same thing. And publish. Cool, and that's finished this one off. Okay, back to pages. Mouse over the privacy policy. Hit duplicate this. Oops, sorry, not that one. Actually, that brings us to another thing. So WordPress puts in a default privacy policy. Don't worry, Termly knows better. So what we're going to do there is just bin that one. Then go to bin. It might be trash or rubbish, depending on your country. And then delete permanently. All right, cool. So that's gotten rid of that templatey one, which we don't want. Find your privacy policy, mouse over, duplicate this, then find the draft one that's just been created, click Quick Edit and change that to Website, Terms and Conditions. Then we'll make the slug for that one Terms. Right, hit Update, and that's ready to go. So mouse over again, hit Edit with Elementor. Excellent. So this is a copy of the page we just made. So click into the title, change that to Website, Terms and Conditions. Back over to Termly. Select everything from the last updated all the way down the bottom. And this is quite a document. Remember to put the Terms and Conditions tag in the bottom there for Termly. Copy that back to Elementor. Click inside this block here and delete everything. So I'm using Control A to get that, and then backspace. Again, make sure that the paste as text is off, and then paste in that policy. Okay, so that's in. Oops, it looks like there's a little underline there. All right, so the acceptable use policy thing is in there, so we haven't put that in, and we'll just need to delete that. So that's 3.3. Oh, 3.2, 3.3. We're deleting that. You should consult with someone before deleting this. All right, that's now 3.3. 4, 5, 3.6. Right. All right, publish that one. Excellent. And that is your website terms of service dealt with. Or your terms and conditions. So, exit out again, hamburger, exit the dashboard, and then the little W. All right, so those two are in. The next thing is the cookie policy. So, back to Termly. Delete. Yes, delete. Cookies, and then cookie policy. All right, so that's good to go. I think that is, yeah, that looks all spot on. Okay, so looking at pages again, we want to go to the website privacy policy, duplicate this, find the draft one, quick edit, change to cookie policy. And if you recall from our first exercise with the privacy policy, this needs to be called cookies. Hit update, and then find the draft one and hit edit with Elementor. Change the top to website cookie, it doesn't need to be website cookie policy, it's just cookie policy. Unless, of course, you are cooking biscuits. All right, back over to Termly. Everything from last updated. Scroll down, copy that. Branding bit, copy again. So I'll just hit Control C for my PC. Click into the text block there, select all, and then delete that. Make sure that the paste as text is off, and then paste that in. Okay, so that's the base done there. Ooh, let's put some tables in, so we'll have to see how that looks. All right, now I saw a blank line there. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Find it. There we go. So that is the WC cart hashed. So this particular theme came with WooCommerce installed, which is an e-commerce program. We're not going to use it, but Let's just put this in there just in case you are. So that is e-commerce cart tracking, and we want to set the service there to WooCommerce. Right. And the rest of those look spot on. Don't worry about the underscores there. That's part of the actual cookie name, so don't worry about that. Okay, and that looks like it's good to go. So hit publish. And we're just going to have a look at this one because I'm a bit concerned about those tables. So click center clicking, have a look, just to pop that in a, right click and it's disappeared. All right. So the little hamburger and then view page. So I'll just right click that and open in a new tab. All right, and here is our cookie policy page. So let's scroll down because I'm a bit concerned about, oh yes, those tables look pretty awful. The info's there. If I just select that, you can see that it's in there, but it looks shocking. So there's a link in the description below to a quick video of me changing the styles of these within WordPress. It's a little more technical than a lot of people will need, but if you feel like doing it or you're on this particular theme and they look this bad, click on that one and I'll take you through changing the CSS or the cascading style sheets for this particular setup. In the meantime, we are just about ready with our legal pages there. Okay, so back over to Termly. Now, we don't need this stuff anymore for the moment, so we'll just go back to the home page. So not to labour the point, but if you are planning on doing any updates to your site at any time in the not too distant future, or if you're looking at e-commerce, if you're looking at putting in a community, allowing comments, I highly recommend upgrading the Termly service to the Pro version. It just makes that stuff so much easier rather than having to redo the privacy policy or redo the terms and conditions every single time you change them. What it means is that you can just make your updates, copy paste across, and away you go. They even offer an embedding service to make it even easier to keep up with things, and we'll do cookie reports so you don't need to worry about that at all. So we can close that off. We can now exit to dashboard. Click on the little W, close off any other pages that we have open. And now we can add these legal pages to the footer. So over to the left-hand side, and then we want to go to Appearance and then Menus. And if you recall, we've got the quick links there, but what we're going to do is create a new menu again. So click on Create a Menu. We're going to call it Legal. And then we're going to click Create Menu. So over to Pages on the left-hand side, click View All. And then we want Cookie Policy, Website Privacy Policy, Website Terms and Conditions, and click Add to Menu. The next thing we want to do is trim some of these names down a bit. So click on the little drop down there and we'll just change that to Privacy. We will change this one to Terms. Let's just change this one to Cookies. Excellent. Save menu. Now all we need to do is add it to the footer. So back over to Appearance and Customize. Once that's loaded, want to find the widgets section. If you have one, it might also be under footer or layout. So widgets, footer area 2, which if you recall is where we popped the quick links before. And then we're going to add a widget. We're going to add a navigation widget. We're going to call that legal. And then we'll hit the legal menu and that'll pop up there and hit publish. So that's been saved. Close out of that one. And then mouse over the website name up the top and hit visit website, and you'll be able to see it there. So there is our quick links from the first session and then legal information there. So let's check that those work. Yep, so that's good. Excuse the horrible, horrible tables. So privacy policy is a thing. And terms are working. So that is the legal pages taken care of. Right, and that brings us to the end of the action. So big day today. What did we get done? Well, we looked at a website terms of service or a website terms and conditions policy, which we've implemented. We've added a website privacy policy. We've covered ourselves for the very, very bare minimum of GDPR compliance. Again, not a lawyer. And we did that by adding a cookie policy and doing a cookie scan of the site through Termly. We also added the pages to the navigation. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this session. The next one is the soft launch, super exciting part. But before we get to that lesson, what I'd like you to do is take a breath, use what we've learned over the last few sessions to add in some extra content pages, to add in your story, to add in your services, your products, build out some internal pages to your site so that it's ready to go. Then when you're ready to come back to it in a day or so, hopefully, make sure you've got a few hours spare and then fire up the next session. Really, really good idea to do this next session while you're sharp. So just after you've gotten out of bed, you've had your morning coffee and a bit of brekkie, and you've got some quiet time as well. It will take a little bit of time. The lesson's only 30 minutes, but you'll need to review a few things. So make sure you've set aside at least an hour and a half. So thank you very much. I know this was a grind, but it was absolutely worth the effort. And we'll see you in the next session.